Tonight's story begins with the death of one of the richest black African men in the country, a man whose name commanded respect, fear, and admiration. His family gathered, expecting to inherit the fortune he spent a lifetime building. But when the lawyer opened the will, one sentence silenced the entire room. "I leave everything I own to a poor young stranger." Who is this mysterious man? Why would a billionaire choose him over his own blood? And what truth is powerful enough to rewrite a man's entire legacy? Settle in. Turn up the volume. Because what you're about to hear is not just a story about wealth. It's a story about destiny, forgiveness, and a secret that changed everything. Chief Adewale Martins was a man whose name carried weight like thunder. Owner of hotels, estates, oil blocks, and investments scattered across Africa. He lived like a king and walked like one. So when news broke that he had passed away in his sleep, the world froze. His mansion in Banana Island was surrounded by journalists. His 3 children, Femi, Tola, and Bimbo, arrived in luxury cars, their faces masked with shock and confusion. Inside the mansion, the air was heavy with whispers. Relatives cried loudly. Friends narrated stories of his kindness. Business partners discussed his empire in hushed tones. But beneath the sorrow, there was greed. Everyone wondered the same thing. Who will inherit the billions? Rumor had it that Chief recently updated his will. And the tension grew. 2 days after the burial, everyone gathered in Chief's grand sitting room. The marble floors gleamed. A giant portrait of Chief hung above the fireplace, smiling proudly. His longtime lawyer, Barrister Ogunlona, stepped in, adjusting his glasses. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "Chief Adewale Martins left clear instructions regarding his will." The children straightened. Relatives leaned forward. The room became silent. The lawyer opened a brown envelope. "My estates, businesses, and liquid assets shall be given to..." He paused. Everyone held their breath. "Mr. Samuel Idowu." A gasp rippled through the room. Who? Who is that? Where is his picture? What kind of name is that? Is this a joke? But the lawyer continued. Chief instructed that this stranger must be located immediately and brought to the Martins mansion. The room erupted into chaos. His children shouted. Relatives protested. Everyone demanded answers. But the lawyer simply said. Chief knew exactly what he was doing. For days, no one could find the mysterious man. His name didn't appear in any of Chief's documents. No photos, no address. But one morning, the security guard rushed into the mansion. "Sir, there is one man outside. He says he is Samuel Idowu." Everyone scrambled to the gate. Relatives, children, even neighbors who were passing by. And there he stood. A thin, humble-looking man in his mid-30s. Simple clothes, worn-out slippers, a small bag over his shoulder. He looked nothing like someone who could be connected to a billionaire. Tola sneered. "You? How do you know our father?" Samuel bowed slightly, his eyes calm but sad. "I never met him." "What? Then why would he give you everything?" Samuel looked down. "Because he owed my mother something." A murmur passed through the crowd. What debt? What connection? Samuel shook his head. "I can't explain here. But I have a letter for the lawyer." He handed over an old, folded envelope. When the lawyer read it, his face changed. "Everyone, please gather inside," he said gravely. "The truth is far deeper than you know." The crowd filled the living room again. Barrister Ogunlona opened the old letter and read. "If you are reading this, it means I am no longer alive. Find Samuel Idowu. He is the key to everything I could not say when I was alive." Everyone stared at Samuel. Femi stepped forward. "Tell us. Who are you?" Samuel took a shaky breath. "My mother, Auntie Grace, was once a housemaid in this mansion." Gasps filled the room. "She served this family faithfully. But something happened. Something that changed her entire life." What happened? Tola demanded. Samuel's voice broke. She was sent away because she was accused of stealing. But she didn't steal anything. Silence. My mother always said the real thief framed her. And Chief Martins never investigated. She lived the rest of her life in shame. Everyone's faces shifted. And before she died, she told me, "One day the truth will rise. And you will receive justice." Samuel wiped a tear. I never thought it meant this. The lawyer cleared his throat. What Samuel didn't know was that Chief Martins discovered the truth years later. Everyone turned to him. Customary checks revealed that the real thief was a relative, someone close. The relatives looked at each other nervously. But Chief couldn't find Auntie Grace. She had vanished. He tried. 4 years. Samuel's eyes widened. Chief wrote in his personal diary that giving his estate to Samuel was his way of correcting the greatest mistake of his life. The room became still. Bimbo whispered, "So all this is compensation?" Samuel shook his head slowly. "No. My mother didn't care about money. She cared about truth." Femi slammed his fist on the table. "This is madness. How can our father give everything to a stranger?" Tola's eyes filled with tears. "Dad loved us. He wouldn't do this." The lawyer sighed. "Chief's will also includes personal letters for each of you. He didn't do this to hurt you. He did it because he believed justice must always stand." Relatives murmured. Some agreed. Others argued. But the truth hung in the air like smoke. Chief had decided. Over the next week, the media exploded with headlines. Billionaire leaves wealth to unknown man. Martin's empire now belongs to struggling stranger. Samuel became the most talked about man in the country. But he didn't enjoy any of it. He stayed quiet, humble, almost overwhelmed. Chief's children avoided him, resentment boiling in their eyes. But one night Samuel approached them. "I don't want your home, or your life, or your comfort. I only want justice for my mother. The rest, we can share." The children looked at him stunned. "You would give us back our inheritance?" Bimbo asked softly. Samuel nodded. "She taught me that peace is better than wealth." That sentence struck them deeply. Weeks later, the lawyer invited everyone back for one final reading. He held up a second letter from Chief. "If you have reached this part of my will, it means Samuel has been found. It also means that my children must learn the meaning of humility and responsibility. If Samuel chooses to share the inheritance, let it be by his own free will, not by force." Tears filled the children's eyes. Their father wasn't punishing them. He was teaching them what he himself had learned too late. In an emotional meeting, Samuel sat with the Martin children. "I won't keep what isn't mine," he said gently. "But I also won't erase the injustice done to my mother. So here is my decision." He returned all personal properties, the mansion, cars, and personal assets, to the children. But he kept one thing: the Grace Foundation, an organization that Chief had secretly funded in memory of Samuel's mother. He built it silently, the lawyer explained, hoping one day Samuel would find it. Samuel committed the rest of Chief's fortune to running the foundation, helping the poor, the forgotten, the unheard. And the children agreed to support him. For the first time, the Martins family stood together. Years rolled by like calm waves on a quiet shore. And in those years, the Martins family changed in ways no one could have imagined. Sparkles Samuel, the man who never asked for wealth. Samuel remained as humble as the day he walked into the mansion wearing worn-out slippers. He didn't move into a mansion. He didn't buy designer clothes. He didn't throw lavish parties. Instead, he poured every drop of his energy, time, and inheritance into the Grace Foundation. People from the slums, from orphanages, from villages forgotten by society, all found help within its walls. Schools were built, hospitals renovated, scholarships given, widows fed, homeless families sheltered. And every time Samuel stood before a new project, he always said the same words. My mother suffered because no one listened. Now we will be the ones who listen. Sparkles the Martins' children. A new path. Femi, who once cared only about luxury cars, now ran one of the foundation's youth programs. He would often say, if Samuel could be this selfless, then what excuse do I have? Tola, who loved attention and fame, used her influence to raise awareness and funding. She traveled across the country, speaking to young women and encouraging them to chase purpose, not just wealth. Bimbo, the youngest, became Samuel's right hand, managing accounts, organizing charity drives, and ensuring every naira reached those who needed it. Their hearts softened, their priorities changed, and slowly, they became the kind of children Chief Adewale always wished they would be. Sparkles the family chief always wanted. Every anniversary of Chief's passing, the Martins family held a gathering at the foundation headquarters. Not to mourn, but to celebrate how far they had come. And Samuel was always the one to speak last. One year, standing before a crowd of beneficiaries, volunteers, and supporters, Samuel said, Chief Adewale did not leave his wealth to me by mistake. He left it because he understood something many people never learn. That real legacy is not measured by what you store up, but by what you give away. People nodded, many wiping tears. Chief built an empire, but the world remembers him today because he used that empire to right his greatest wrong. The hall erupted in applause. Sparkles the visit that happened every year. Every December 15th, just as the harmattan breeze grew cold and the skies turned pale, Samuel made a quiet trip to a small cemetery on the outskirts of the city. The grave was simple, modest, and painted, just like the woman buried beneath it. He knelt, brushing leaves off the stone. Mother, he whispered. They know the truth now. Your story changed lives. Your name built schools. Your suffering wasn't wasted. A soft breeze always swept across the graveyard at that exact moment, as though the universe itself was acknowledging his words. And Samuel would smile through tears. You always said God sees everything, he whispered. And you were right. Sparkles the legacy that spread beyond borders. The Grace Foundation spread far beyond Nigeria. Volunteers came from Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, and even Europe and America, eager to join a mission built on dignity, justice, and compassion. Years later, an international magazine published a headline, The Billionaire, the Housemaid, and the Son Who Changed Africa. And beneath it, a picture of Samuel helping children in a rural school. Chief Adewale's name was spoken across continents, not as a man who left wealth, but as a man who left a lesson. Sparkle's final full-circle moment. One evening, after a successful fundraising event, Femi approached Samuel quietly. You know, you have become more than our father's heir, he said softly. Samuel smiled. What do you mean? You became our brother, Femi whispered, voice cracking. And none of us can imagine this family without you. Samuel's eyes watered. I didn't come here to take anything from you, he replied. I came to return what was lost. And you did, Tola added, joining them. But you also gave us something we didn't know we needed. A new heart, Bimbo finished. They stood there. 4 people once strangers, now united. Not by blood, but by truth, by justice, by forgiveness, by legacy. And as they embraced under the warm glow of the foundation's lights, it became clear. Chief Adewale Martins did not leave his fortune to a stranger. He left it to the only person who could heal the family he left behind. And in doing so, he changed everything.